So this is today. Today is yesterday, and tomorrow is also today.
You traveled through time to the present.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you get how time travel works.
It's like we're stuck. You know, like a needle on a scratch record.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
Slow down! What are you, in a damn time loop or something?
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I'm Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project. This week, we are covering Minute 5. Again. And that must mean that time is a flat circle, and I was not happy with how Minute 5 went on the last resumption. We begin Minute 5 in an aerial shot of downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The PBH news van is just emerging, heading southwest off of Stanwyck Street, turning right, northwest onto Fort Pitt Boulevard. In his commentary track, Harold Ramis points out that he never went to Pittsburgh. This was second unit filming. The on-screen credit for costume designer Jennifer Butler is still on the screen. Born 24th October 1963 in Panorama City, California, Butler has 9 costume department credits and 5 costume designer credits on IMDb. Notably, she worked on Scrooged, Ghostbusters 2, and What About Bob, all of which starred Bill Murray. She and Murray were married 4th July 1997 to 13th June 2008. She died in Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, 12th January 2021. The song Weatherman continues. Predictions show a steady low. Lyrics are on the nose because, as stated in previous episodes, this song was written for the film. Lyrics by George Fenton and Harold Ramis. Here, we're getting a simple weather as mood kind of metaphor. The weather is low and you're feeling just the same. Camera focuses on and follows the news van heading to the left, northwest. Note for future shots, the driver's side PBH decal is a little more than halfway back between the driver's window and the rear of the van. At second 4, we get a new on-screen credit, edited by Pembroke J. Herring. Herring has 33 editing credits on IMDb, including 9 to 5, National Lampoon's Vacation and European Vacation, Ghost Dad, Sister Act 2, and his final credit was for 1996's Multiplicity, also directed by Harold Ramis. He was nominated for Oscars for editing Tora Tora Tora, Bound of Glory, and Out of Africa. But seasons come and seasons go. Seasons Come and Seasons Go is the title for Groundhog Day Project Day 219, 8th March 2014. The van takes the left lane onto 279, where the right lane would curve northeast onto Commonwealth Place. Second 11, on-screen credit, production designer David Nichols. He has 14 production design credits on IMDb, including Hoosiers, The Serpent and the Rainbow, and Mr. Holland's Opus. I'll Make You Smile Again. That was the title for Groundhog Day Project Day 220, 9th March 2014. Camera pulls back again as the van heads around a curve away from camera. 279 north headed for Fort Duquesne Bridge and North Shore. This does not seem like a good place for pedestrian crossing, but there are 2 people crossing right to left ahead of the van. Famously, I nitpicked a supposed goof here. Day 134 of the Groundhog Day Project, there's a lot of things really wrong with. During the opening credits, the news van is shown heading west on Parkway East in Pittsburgh and taking a ramp headed north on Fort Duquesne Boulevard. To be accurate, to be headed to Punxsutawney, the van should have been driving the other direction, east. Sounds like someone showing off their knowledge of Pittsburgh. Thing is, unless the van is coming from a good distance farther southeast, and it may have just pulled out from one of those buildings just before it is first seen, the best way out of Pittsburgh to get to Punxsutawney is by the Allegheny Valley Expressway, which is north of that peninsula and right in line with where we see the van turning. Additionally, I noticed this week that the goof writer was actually wrong about what road they were on in the first place. They were on Fort Pitt Boulevard, which in that location runs parallel to the Penn Lincoln Parkway, what they're calling Parkway East, I guess, if I want to give them the benefit of any doubt. The van proceeds to curve to the right, northeast, onto Interstate 279, Parkway North, which will get you to 28, aka Allegheny Valley Expressway, which gets you to 422 around Katanning, then 66, 85, 954, 210, and finally 119 into Punxsutawney, about 80 miles. We don't even see Fort Duquesne Boulevard in this shot. It's farther up, to the right, northeast. If you don't believe me, take me by the hand. That's the title for day 234, 23rd March 2014. A twist on foreshadowing. After Rita buys Phil at the bachelor auction, she reaches out her hand for him. At this point, she knows nothing of the time loop, but she sees an intriguing, multi-talented version of Phil Connors, womanizing weatherman, and he belongs to her. Second 23, we have a new shot, the news van on the crest of a hill with houses on either side, heading to the right. In his commentary track, Ramis says, and this is, on the drive, the actual road up to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Given that this was presumably also second unit filming, you might not be surprised to learn that our director, Mr. Ramis, is wrong. I had searched roads near Punxsutawney on Google Earth and had never figured out where this shot was. We don't see much to identify the location, just houses along a road atop a hill. But I found a Reddit thread about this very shot recently, and some users used Google Lens to identify the location as Scenery Hill, Pennsylvania. So I looked that up on Google Earth. Sure enough, camera is looking southwest. The van is heading roughly northwest, emerging from behind 2199 US 40. That's the White House with the satellite dish. And it is in front of 2184 East National Pike before the cut to inside the van, second 26. A couple houses have been painted different colors, and that big satellite dish is gone, but otherwise this bit of road looks mostly the same as it did in 1992. Notably, this is not on the way to Punxsutawney, but is actually south of Pittsburgh. Next minute, we will get a little bit of a route to Punxsutawney, a single exit. In the meantime, second 24, we also get a new on-screen credit. Director of Photography, John Bailey, ASC. 86 cinematography credits on IMDb from 1972's Premonition to 2022's 10 Tricks. He won a Spirit Award in 1988 for Tough Guys Don't Dance. Also, note, the passenger side PBH decal is just behind the side door windows. Can't you feel you're warming up? That's the title for day 235, 24th March 2014. Yeah, I'm your weatherman. Second 31. As the music fades, we are inside the van, a two-shot of Phil in the front passenger seat, Rita in the jump seat. From the final revision of the script, Rita, the producer, sits contentedly in the jump seat behind and between Larry and Phil. She is competent, personable, humorous, self-assured, and very pretty. In short, a genuine princess, though Phil is too self-absorbed at this point to realize it. I didn't write it here, but that really sounds like a director writing for himself, because there's way too much in those sentences that cannot be conveyed in this single shot. In his BFI review of the film, Ryan Gilby writes, "Decades of screwball comedies have primed us for the playfulness between Phil and Rita, and when they spark in their first scene together in the van en route to Punxsutawney, you warm to the film. Inside the van, Phil and Rita are always framed in a two-shot, hinting at their later romance, while Larry, who will still be loveless in the final scenes, is on his own at the wheel." In Cinematography Theory and Practice, Blaine Brown describes the two-shot fairly simply. The two-shot is any frame that includes two characters. The interaction between two characters in a scene is one of the most fundamental pieces of storytelling. Thus, the two-shot is one you will use frequently. The two characters don't have to be arranged symmetrically in the frame. They might be facing each other, both facing forward, both facing away from the camera, and so on, but the method you use for dealing with this type of scene will be the same in any case. Whenever Ramis mentions a two-shot in his commentary, it feels like he means something more flat, as in characters roughly in the same plane. Ramis loves a good two-shot. This one is more staggered, Phil in the foreground, Rita in the background. When I would complain about Rita on my blog, one of my complaints had to do either with Andy McDowell's acting choices or Ramis's lack of direction whenever Rita is in the background. Think minute 62 after Phil walks away from Rita and goes to steal the red pickup in the groundhog, and Rita stands awkwardly by the news van. Think minute 99 after Phil and Rita have emerged from the Cherry Street Inn. Phil's got a couple final lines, but Rita's got none. So McDowell is quite rigid, prompting me at one point in the blog to start referring to her as a robot. As Phil speaks now, McDowell has her eyes on Murray, but otherwise she's got little to do until it's time for her line. Phil, can you keep a secret, Larry? Can You Keep a Secret was the title for day 292, 20th May, 2014. It's worth mentioning that Phil is having a personal conversation with, of course, Larry, with whom he probably does location shoots often. This is a guy he knows. That Rita's in the back seat, we'll see in a moment, might be something Phil has forgotten entirely. In the second and third revisions of the script, this exchange still happens between Phil and Action News executive producer Gil Hawley. I'm probably leaving PBH, so this will be the last time we do the Groundhog Together. Was the title for day 365, 1st August 2014. Notably, that was not the last day we did the Groundhog Together. Additionally, while being adjacent to a statement of theme, more on that in a bit, Phil is potentially entirely correct here, while also being entirely incorrect. He is leaving PBH, whether he's gone from there for weeks, months, years. His stay in Punxsutawney is indefinite in length. And if by chance he does leave PBH in Pittsburgh after the time loop is completed, while he will be repeating this doing of the Groundhog Together with Larry many times, it is still, from Larry's perspective, probably the last time they do it together. On Larry in the driver's seat. Larry, I don't understand what's wrong with the Groundhog Festival. What's Wrong was the title for day 269, 27th April 2014. You know, when I worked in San Diego, I covered the Swallows returning to Capistrano 6 years in a row. Back to Phil and Rita. Phil, someday somebody's going to see me interviewing a groundhog and think I don't have a future. That line was split into titles for day 762 and 763, 2nd and 3rd September 2015. Phil Dyer, Doctor My Script, 19th October 2010, describes a statement of theme. In the first few pages of your screenplay, one of the characters should state the story's theme out loud. For example, in the setup for When Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal tells Meg Ryan that it's not possible for men and women to be just friends because the sex always gets in the way. This raises the question that the characters will be exploring throughout the rest of the story. Every screenplay must have a single specific theme or question that it is investigating, and then everything that happens in the script must pertain directly to that central theme or question. Not all screenplays state the script out loud. That's a weird typo on his part. It should be state the theme out loud. But it's a good thing to do because it makes the story that much clearer for your audience. In the aforementioned BFI review, Gilby calls this line about not having a future, Phil tempting fate. Again. 2nd 55, Rita leans forward to join the conversation, hands on their seats. This was also Gil in the 2nd and 3rd revisions, which I imagine it would come across a bit differently. I read Gil as a gruff, been there, done that kind of guy. Holly. It's a cute story. He comes out, he looks around. He wrinkles up his little nose. He sniffs around a little. He sees his shadow. He doesn't see a shadow. It's nice. People like it. Rita's a bit more pleasant. Phil looks at her like she's crazy, or he may have forgotten she was back there at all. Rita, I think it's a nice story. A Nice Story was the title for Groundhog Day Project Day 244, 2nd April 2014. He comes out, and the minute ends.
Most of life is just junk, right? It's filler. And then there's these moments when all the randomness turns into something perfect. It's like life's dropping all the bullshit just for a second to show us how amazing it could be all the time if it wanted to.
I don't know. I think maybe we're supposed to become like better people. Though I honestly don't even know how that could be possible.
Ever think about it? We must miss so many of them. All those tiny perfect things are just poof, gone, lost forever. But not today.
That is a disturbingly inspirational idea, Mark.
It's a perfect day. You couldn't have planned a day like this.
Well, you can. It just takes an awful lot of work.
Time The last revision is what counts, apparently.
What if we found them all? All the perfect things in this one town, in this one day. We could collect them.
Time loop of the week is, I suppose, this very episode. I like the idea of doing these episodes, especially these early ones where I've already got minute-specific notes, casually letting myself get lost and talking about the film, much like I used to do in the blog. I also love letting this podcast get a little lost into extra episodes and reading whole entries from the blog where it makes sense. I stopped and started the blog twice. I stopped this podcast and then started it again this year. And I am tempted, but I don't think I'm going to do it, to start over again, have some discipline, and treat the show like I treated Annihilation Minute, or this very episode of the Groundhog Day Project, with detailing shot descriptions minute by minute, second by second. Hell, going second by second goes back to Michael Myers Minute, covering minute 72 of the original Halloween. Writing everything word for word, leaving little room for on-the-fly asides or meandering nonsense that gets me lost in the weeds. Except I like getting lost in the weeds. I feel like talking about Groundhog Day requires it. Next time, a bonus episode getting into more detail about San Juan Capistrano and the Swallows, because that topic deserves more than just a quick aside. Then probably insert a shot of me turning my head to the left to double check my post-it note to realize that that probably is a lie. Because I wrote, then probably minute 6, but yeah, no. We'll get there. Soon. This week's reason to repeat a day forever. Simply to get it right.
First, I played the game by the rules from 1 to 10. Then you took me round again.
I think I have traveled through time.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, laughing, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is.
Man, are you hungry? I haven't eaten since later this afternoon.
Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.